Hey there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So with 1.0 pretty much less than 24 hours away, I thought I'd go back down memory lane and look at the progress I've made from the beginning to where I am now. So here you find me back in 2020 in update 3 with 26 hours on the clock, still pretty much learning the game. Now you find me still on update 3, 59 hours in. We've come over to the water area just near the waterfall, and we're trying a hand at coal power. So the coal is being brought in along this road from that node all the way over there. So now with 109 hours on the clock, you can see the build is slowly coming together. This platform right in front of you was what was going to be a mega factory. Still got the power station and what would have been the main roads. Now with 125 hours on the clock, we started bringing in oil to the mega factory along this road here, and some of the shape of the factory is taking place. So the idea here was going to be a big buffer floor sort of in the middle where all the resources was gathered and then spread along each floor, and then each floor would produce whatever item was needed at the time. So all the resources were being brought in from the nodes. So we got concrete, copper, iron, and they were being brought along the side of the roads and then being ran underneath. Now with 471 hours on the clock, you can see the mega build taking shape. The idea was that everything being built on each floor, the resources would go to the side columns to be transported to another floor and be used in another construction if needed. Now you will notice that there's a lot of gaps and wall pieces missing on the builds. Now this is because originally I went mod heavy, and eventually that mod broke when update 4 came out, so that's why you'll see all these gaps and pieces missing. The same over here. Originally there was coal generators both sides, but the mod that I was using that mirrored the build, that stopped working, so that's why one side is empty, but you get the idea. Same with the roof as well. So here I had extended the road as well. It had gone over to the coal and caterium. Over here we were making iron ingots to send back to the mega factory. We've got a bean taking inspection of the build. So over here we were taking the coal and the caterium and turning it into compacted coal, and we were sending that down to the oil nodes to turn it into turbo fuel, which is where this road leads to. So the road along with the compacted coal went to this build here, which was making turbo fuel for the fuel generators stored inside. Over there we have all the refineries. The coal was ran underground to the refineries, and then all the fuel taken to these fuel generators here. Now 502 hours into the game, I had started experimenting with building structures like bridges. So I made this bridge over here that goes to the oil fields out of pipes. Now I wasn't really too happy with this because I made it right on top of the water, so kind of didn't really add any support to it. Now the supports that were there were originally half foundations that was part of a mod. That's why they are missing. And here you see the plastic on one side, rubber on the other. So what I had done is used a tutorial from Total Eclipse, and I was producing plastic on one side, rubber on the other side, and originally these both had a build around them, but once again that was all part of a mod and now it doesn't exist. But it was a simple setup. So 584 hours into the game now, and I've built a second coal power station to handle all the new builds. I've also gone ahead and built a new bridge, which I really like the look of this one. I thought it turned out really well. So I just want to add that all these hours building up so quick, I did used to leave the game running for like 24 hours at a time, just to build up the buffer and all that stuff. 629 hours in, and now come over to the Spire Coast to make another production using oil. Now this was obviously before the Spire Coast update. It was also the first time trying out trains. So the track was to run it along here and then go up these corkscrews. It's crazy looking at this now, just how much Spire Coast actually changed. Because originally when I built these tracks, there was nothing in the way of them. They were completely in the open. First time trying out this method as well. A lot easier than I thought. So the idea was that it was going to come across and then come down into the desert, where we had built a coal power station, bringing in all the water from over here. Now I'm actually quite proud of this pipe work. It's pretty tidy. Goes all the way around the rocks following the water, just to come to this coal power station here. Now this was just a few days before update 4 would come to early access, and then everything was about to change. So now at 682 hours and taking a 5-month break after update 4 hit, I decided to go back to the game, and because the mod was never updated, the one that I was using, and I didn't want to start a new world, I decided I'm just going to dismantle everything. So here you can see it all being dismantled. I was putting everything in chests, and I was going to restart again, but not from the bottom up. I was going to rebuild on the foundations I had already started. So I'm now 706 hours into the game. The old mega base has now been dismantled, and I started building a new mega base. Now the concept was sort of the same, but I was going to have side buildings coming off the mega base, which is going to have smaller buildings creating smaller items, and the space elevator at the back. We've now got a bigger coal power station, and over here was the start of a train station. Now 759 hours in, we had built the train station as well as another one. We now had roads running across the grassy fields and a new bridge, as well as the railway lines. So over here we have what was the beginning of the turbo fuel power station. Now the idea was the right track would be taking some of the coal from here, taking it back to the main area to power up the coal generators. The left side track was to be used to bring in oil from the blue crater, which was going to be mixed with the compacted coal to make turbo fuel. So now 767 hours in, we're working down at the blue crater, creating a spiral so that we can get the trains down, pick up the oil to go back to the fuel station. And here you see some more work has been made to the fuel power station. Now at 863 hours, we're back in the blue crater, where I got rid of the 2 spirals and replaced it for a double helix spiral. So we've got the oil coming in, going to the train station, and then going along the track to the power station. So the turbo fuel power station is now finished and up and running. I also started working on an iron facility that was going to produce all iron related products. Now at 908 hours and update 5 has just hit, so now we've unlocked concrete. So what we've done is change the foundations on the bridge and the supports to concrete, as well as finished off the iron Satisfactory. We also started creating roads going up to the fuel power station. I'm now at 912 hours, and with update 5 gave the ability to create curves, and I hit the road hard and I started experimenting with curves a lot, which is this is the area where I created my curved road tutorial. So at 997 hours, and with the release of update 5, I decided to give up on the idea of a mega build. So I started to dismantle the one that I'd started building. I also got rid of all the wires on the bridge and replaced it for beams or pillars. I also got rid of the iron build. I decided that I didn't really like the look of it, and with all the new buildables that update 5 released, I wanted to try something different. I also finished off the curved road leading to the power station, as well as adding in all these barriers and all these new junctions. So now at 1026 hours, I decided that I was no longer going to send oil to the fuel power station. Instead, I will make the fuel in the blue crater and send the fuel to a new power station. So as you can see, gone is the old power station. Some of the original foundations are still there, but I opted to go for a cooling tower inspired build. So far I had built 2 cooling towers, but there was still a far way to go. Now at 1109 hours, I've built the iconic roundabout, added in the sidewalks, edited the front of the coal power station to give it more of a unique look, as well as played around with signs, as well as added painted foundations, added in the road dividers, and added barriers along the roads. Now at 1201 hours, the fuel power station is complete. There's a few touch-ups that needed to be done, but the majority of it was finished. Now I really liked this build. It's a shame that it got ruined by these balloon trees. We've also added in the road network down to the fuel processing plant. Now at 1285 hours, we've unlocked asphalt, so we went and changed all the concrete roads to asphalt, as well as adding on the railway line on the main road to the fuel processing plant. I also changed the old fuel processing plant to this one here, bringing it all as one big build rather than having separate builds. At 1391 hours, we brought the highway all the way up to the rocky desert, splitting it here to go around this rock in the middle. And following this road brings us to the quartz and silica build. Now I really liked how this build turned out. I just never made it big enough. It's very colourful as well. So 1513 hours I completed the main storage hub. Using the sushi belt technique, it brings items in and stores them in the chests at the top. This small water storage facility here was built to provide water into the new iron factory, producing iron plates and reinforced iron plates once finished. At 1667 hours, the petrol station was complete. And oh look, we have a customer. We also completed work on the iron and reinforced iron plates factory. Also creating 2 stations, one for the iron plates and one for the reinforced iron plates. I also built a 3rd station. This is to help bring in the iron plates. So sadly, I must have lost some saves because now we find ourselves on update 8 at 3,216 hours in. So now I'm just going to show you the world before we prepare to go into 1.0. So starting with the turbo fuel power station, nicknamed the Hive. So here you get a great look at the bridge going towards the compacted fuel facility. The compacted fuel going to the turbo fuel power station. So in here is where the old power station used to be, now demolished and replaced with this compacted coal facility. The reason being is because of these stupid balloon plants or trees. We've got the fuel station. Following this road down takes us where the old iron plate and reinforced iron plate facility used to be, now replaced by iron cast. This is pretty much doubling the production of iron plates and reinforced iron plates. We rebuilt the water processing plant for a more modern look. Following the road up, we come to a coal power plant with a curved road going around it. And then over here is the power shard. This is where all the power storage is. Then we have the main bridge over to the main storage area. Following that, you can see the back of the main storage hub. We'll get a look at the front in a minute. So this is using the sushi belt technique. So all the items are split and sent into designated areas at the top. Come down here and we have the encased industrial beams build. Little small factory just to make some industrial beams. The main hub station. This is bringing all the items in to go to the main hub. Over here we have the rods and screw factory. Following this road round, we come to Liberty Island with the space elevator on there. Coming back down, we have the cable and wire company, GWC for short. Turn left here will take you to the Genesis Fuel Company, producing all the fuel needed for all the vehicles, as well as some extra power. Now we changed the road here, so no longer does it split into two. Carries on as one long road. So here we have the Grand train station in the Rocky Desert. To the left of that is the MG Tech build. Come over here and you'll have the steel build. Now I changed this build up, so no longer is it producing steel ingots, but the steel ingots are being belted in. So if we follow the belt, goes up this wall here. To this main steel ingot facility here. Now if we come down from here, once it comes into view, we have the spear. This is producing rotors, motors and stators. To the right of that we have the quick wire and copper sheets build. So over here we have the Spire Coast Dockyard. Inside you'll find many containers, the crane, and the container ship. And then going out to sea, you'll find the big shell. And here is the big shell, a offshore fuel power plant, as well as creating a product of plastic and rubber. And this brings us to the end of the tour. Now, through inspiration from real life builds as well as other content creators, I believe that I've improved so much from where I began with the designs of my builds to where I am now, and I can't wait to take that into 1.0. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and I shall see you in the next one in 1.0.